Hi there, I am back, and this is part two of our orientation to Carroll MSW video series. And so in the first video, which I hope you watched, because these are kind of developmental, they do build on each other. We walked through, we talked about Carroll's Okta single sign-on system, which then allows you to access things like self-service or My Carroll or Moodle, which is our learning management system. We spent some time looking through Moodle to give you just a little bit of an overview of that system and see how it's used in this program. Talked a little bit about some expectations around like showing up on Zoom, which we use a lot in this program. So cameras on. I think one thing I would always say is when in doubt, contact the faculty member. Okay. So things are going to happen, things are going to come up. You're going to miss class, you're going to not be able to have your camera on, or you're going to need to have your microphone off, and you're not going to be able to maybe verbally participate. I mean, things are going to happen. Communicate with your faculty member. Okay. And then the other thing I pointed out, and I want to point out again, is hold yourself to a high engagement standard, not just in terms of like attending class, which to me is you showed up, and even more so than basic participation, which could be where you were engaged in some way or another. Maybe you said something, or maybe you, whatever. There's a higher level, and that's engagement. And that's very much that's you self-directed, self-motivated. You're taking in the information you're getting, whether it's from me, whether it's from your peers, you're tying it together. You're comparing it, you're contrasting it. You did the readings before class. You showed up, you're prepared, you're ready to be part of our conversation and our dialogue. That's what engagement is. And that is absolutely what we require in this program. We want you to be, you have applied for this program. You have self-selected yourself to this. I hope you're excited to be here. I'm sure you're a little maybe let's say a little nervous, maybe, which can be great. Anxiety can be very adaptive. Get you on your toes, get you engaged, get you thinking. That's a good kind of stress. So yeah. So anyway, so now what we want to look at is we're going to look at a few documents that I think are really going to be important. So we're going to look at our program calendar, we're going to look at an intensive schedule, and then we're going to look at how we lay out our semesters. Okay. And so let me share, oops, not going to share that. I get my Adobe pulled up here. Let me share that screen. Sorry, struggle bus is real. Share, Adobe, share. Okay, that is not the one I wanted to show you first. Okay, so I'm gonna drink a coffee. Okay, this is what we call our program calendar. This is our important dates document. You all have access to this. Okay, I've sent this out multiple times. I'm making this video on July 16th. I've sent this document out multiple times. If you misplace it, can't find it, didn't get it, whatever, this will also be uploaded into those resource Moodles that I showed in the first video, okay, where the handbook is, where this document is, where we put intensive materials and things like that. So this is our, sorry, my dog is barking. Hey, thank you. Hey, thank you for protecting us, but we're safe. So here's our important dates document. It's got fall and spring. Let's right now, let's just look at fall. So big things that are on this are start and end dates for classes, intensive dates, holidays, breaks, any of that stuff. Which basically what you see. So you see our first intensive for this year is the 15th through the 17th. So it's Friday through Sunday. The first intensive is Friday through Sunday. Okay. The second, third, and fourth and fifth intensives are Friday and Saturday only. Okay, this first one is an orientation, so it's a little bit longer. The daily schedule for intensives. The first one, Friday, 1 to 5, Saturday, 8 to 5, Sunday, 8 to noon. Okay. The rest of the intensives, the schedule is Friday, 1 to 5, Saturday, 8 to 5. Okay. And I'm just impressed that I actually did that so smoothly. So we have classes, we have an intensive, then classes begin on Wednesday the 2nd. So actually on Monday the 18th, you're not you're not doing classes. Your classes begin on Wednesday. So you won't be showing up synchronously on Monday or Tuesday to anything. Technically, you start classes on Wednesday. We have a Labor Day holiday. We have another intensive, a Friday and Saturday intensive. Oops. The third and the fourth. Oops, there we go. 8-week classes end. The first set end on the 10th of October. Then this 8-week session 2 starts on the 13th. We have a fall break, no classes. So Friday, basically you'll be off Monday. I think you're back on, no, yeah, you're back. You're off Monday and Tuesday. We have a Thanksgiving break, so you're off Thursday and Friday. Third fall intensive is the 5th and the 6th. Classes end on the 11th, and final grades from faculty are due on the 16th. Okay. Trying to think. You know that all synchronous classes, anytime we ask you to show up on Zoom for a class, it's going to be either on Monday or Tuesday. So as you're looking through these different things, like look at Labor Day. So Labor Day is usually on a Monday. I don't know why it doesn't say Monday here, but it just says September 1st. You know that if you have any synchronous, there won't be any synchronous classes scheduled that day. There will on Tuesday, on the 2nd, but not on Monday. Okay. Same thing for the spring semester. You go in, when do classes begin? Martin Luther King Day, spring intensives, 8-week sessions end, 8-week sessions begin. Good Friday, no classes. Easter Monday, no classes. Intensives, all that good stuff. That's what you needed to know there. So this is a very handy document. You have access to it. You know when the intensives are. Do students miss intensives? Yes. Do students miss days or certain hours of intensives? Yes. I would say as things come up, as much as possible, please don't schedule vacations during intensives. These are really important parts of our program, and they absolutely are meant to like uplift and lift up the learning that you're doing in the classes. It's also where we do a lot of skill development. And since being a clinical social worker is a lot about skill, these are important opportunities. So very much try and schedule around these as much as possible. If something happens and you're unable to show up for an intensive, that's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. And what we typically try and do is record sessions so you can watch them later. What we generally can't do, unfortunately, unless it's under certain circumstances, is if someone misses an intensive, we can't recreate that experience for them like later. There's a lot of hours that go into doing intensives. It's a lot of us on Zoom and in person, and we just can't repeat that. So we'll do the best we can to keep you up to speed. And if emergency happens, we completely understand, but we got to do what we got to do. So, um, so this has been sent out. Here is here's something that has not been sent out, but it will be fairly soon. Okay. So this is a schedule for an intensive. Okay. You will get this for each intensive. I send this out about 2 weeks before. Now, you already know that intensives are Friday through Sunday for the first one, or Friday and Saturday for the second, third, fourth, and fifth one. You know that, so you can schedule around that stuff. This is a specific, very detailed schedule for the first intensive, which runs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, we put these together to make sure you know where to be, when to be there, and how to be there. Okay. So if you look, this is for last year. So for our first intensive, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I give you the location is the library. We're going to be there again this year. So we're going to be at the Corette Library. On Friday, it's very much a coming together experience. We're all meeting each other for the first time. You're meeting us, you're meeting each other. If you look at the schedule, you see we have an in-person column and we have a virtual column. Not so much on Friday, but on Saturday, you see that those are actually very separate. On Friday, we're doing a lot of joint things. So there's like a welcome that I'm going to do on Friday that will be for the in-person and the virtual. We'll kind of be doing it in a hybrid way. So we don't do a lot of hybrid in this program because it's hard to have in-person and online together. But when we're just kind of welcoming and I'm doing question answer stuff and people are introducing themselves, it works really well. That way also, the in-person here with the virtual, they learn about you if you're virtual, and the virtual people learn about the folks who'll be in person. So we do that, we'll take a break, we do a little bit more about the program. Excuse me. Here is where we break into two, we split. So we have an in-person program culture and climate activity, and then we have a virtual culture and climate activity. And the link, if you're virtual, the link you'll want to go to is right there. And then typically on Friday, we have a voluntary student association meeting. Voluntary. On Saturday, though, you can see things are very much spread out. Now, if you're in person, breakfast is from 8 to 8:30. If you're virtual, you don't have anything to do, you show up at 8:30. We do different classes. Okay, so theoretical foundations is attached to the HBSE, Human Behavior and the Social Environment course. Social work ethics is attached to the diversity and social justice course. So what happens is I'll be teaching the students in person, theoretical foundation. Professor Butts will be teaching virtual students social work and ethics. And then if you look here, you see we take a break and then we flip-flop. Then Professor Butts is teaching in person, then I'm online. So it's the exact same experience, whether you're in person or whether you're virtual, but the sequence of it will be a little bit different. All the Zoom links are there for all the different classes. Okay. And then on Sunday, we have a little breakfast socialize, then we do field education. And so this will be where we'll have one faculty member doing field education here, another faculty member doing field education there, in person and virtual. And then we do our takeaways and evaluation. I will warn you, we do ask you a lot for your feedback in this program. After every intensive, we ask you to complete a survey. In every course, you're going to complete a midterm survey and you're going to complete a final course survey. Please complete those. They're not mandatory, but very much your feedback is factored into decisions we make in the program because this program is for you. And we want to make sure that we're sensitive to your needs and meeting those as much as possible and as much as realistic. So yes, so your feedback is appreciated. So like I said, a couple weeks before the dates for the intensives are posted, they're already out there. These schedules will come 1 to 2 weeks before the actual intensive. So you'll get it, and the times will always be the same. The activities will shift, they will change for sure, but the times will always be the same. Okay. And the last thing we're going to look at in this video is what we call semester overviews. Okay. Now, you have not seen these yet. You may have seen a draft. You may have seen like last year's, like the kind of the one I'm showing you right now, just so you can see an example. But I create these each semester, you'll get one of these. And what these are meant to do is help kind of help you get a better sense course by course, what your schedule is going to be looking like. Okay. Because remember, we do synchronous meetings every other week, generally in courses. You're taking multiple courses at one time. So we just want to make sure that you know, when do I need to be online for this course? When do I need to be online for this course? Now, all of this is typically included in the syllabus. So every course instructor creates a syllabus and they post it in their Moodle. And you can tell, usually the course outlines will have, is it a synchronous week or is it an asynchronous week? And of course, synchronous means show up on Zoom. Asynchronous week means there's work to do, but it's going to all be on your own schedule. Go to Moodle to make sure you're keeping up. So here's though what a semester overview looks like. Now this is for the specialized students, okay? So this is for our second year. So let's say you're doing our traditional program. You finished your first half of the curriculum. Now you're in the second half of the curriculum. That's the specialized curriculum. Or if you're advanced standing, you're in the specialized curriculum from the start. Typically, the way these documents go is I list all the courses you're going to be taking. So specialized students at some point in that fall semester are, well, this is the spring. So actually, let me stop that for a second. That's a little bit, it's a little bit much. I want to use something that is remotely. Let's use a fall schedule. I'm sorry for that. Now here's your first introduction to James fumbling around. Course schedules. Let's do this. We're going to still do the spring. Okay, I'm going to close this one, that one, that one. We're going to go find our Zoom again. And yes, I talk to myself a lot. I'm going to go here, share. Okay. So now we're back. So this is a fall semester overview for the specialized student, the specialized curriculum. Okay. Now, the first thing I'll typically do is I give you an overview of the courses you're taking. Specialized students in the fall take 6 courses. Okay. You have 4 8-week courses, which are here, and you have 2 16-week courses, which are here. Now, this is a full-time schedule. If some of you are not full-time, if you're part-time or less than full-time, your schedule is going to look different. But for the most part, most of our students are full-time, so this should resonate with you. So you have 8-week classes. You have 2 that are in 8-week session 1. So that's from the first day of class to the middle of the semester is typically about 8 weeks. You'll be taking these 2 classes. The second 8 weeks, so from the middle of the semester to the end, you'll be taking these classes. The entire time, you will be completing your practicum, unless you're part-time. And so this is just a list. This is just to make sure you understand what kind of courses you're taking, what your schedule is going to look like. So at any given time in the semester, now let's just make sure we're clear about this. In these 16-week field classes, your practicum is your internship. You sign up for that, but you go to your internship. You're not showing up to a classroom for practicum 3. Now for field seminar 3, you are showing up. You are doing the synchronous meetings or you're doing the asynchronous work. It's very focused on your practicum, however, and it's a seminar. It's a seminar class, so it's very discussion, conversation based. So even though I say you're enrolled in 6 classes, you're technically kind of only taking 5 formal courses. Then the remaining course is actually your internship. And I kind of show you here, like this is a little diagram. So this top arrow just says it's 16 weeks in the semester. Now, if you go below this bar, you see you have your practicum class, 16 weeks. You have your field seminar class, 16 weeks. And then you have your social work 510 and 511, 8 weeks. And then you have your 513 and 509, 8 weeks, but the second 8 weeks. Okay. Now, here's where it gets crazy. We're just going to look at this one here. Okay. And remember, 2 8-week classes the first session, 2 8-week classes the second session. Okay. So here's 8-week session 1 is right here. Okay. What this table does is it shows you when do I need to be synchronously online for one class or the other. Okay. So we have 2 classes that you're in, clinical assessment and diagnosis, integrated and interprofessional practice. Okay. Now, within these different classes, there's actually 2 sections for each of these classes. More than likely, there will be 2 sections for you as well. Maybe not, just depends what our enrollment looks like. But it doesn't matter. Whatever section you're in, you're going to follow this particular schedule. So what you see here is for clinical assessment and diagnosis. We have section A with Dr. Alice, and we have section B with Professor Malloy. Okay. We have an intensive at the beginning of the class. So you'll either be in synchronous or in person, totally up to you. Remember, on the 19th, now the dates might be a little off because it's last year. Remember, classes formally start on Wednesday, so the Monday you're actually not doing anything. When classes start, the following week, clinical diagnosis is asynchronous, so there's no Zoom meeting for that class. However, for integrated interprofessional care, there is a synchronous meeting, so you're going to log on for that one. So you need to go to the Moodle for that class or to the syllabus or wherever you need to go to find that link, and you'll show up for that class. And remember, synchronous classes are 5 to 7:30 or 5 to 6:40, depending on how many credits they are. Integrated interprofessional care is a 2-credit class, so it's actually 5 to 6:40. So now one thing we do in the fall is we get a little wonky and we schedule clinical assessment and diagnosis on Tuesday because Labor Day is on Monday. And we don't want to miss 2 weeks of synchronous class for this one. We already missed the 26th here. We're going to actually move that to Tuesday. But then you just kind of go down and you'll see they flip-flop. So on the 9th, it's asynchronous for assessment and diagnosis, but on the 9th, it's synchronous for integrated interprofessional care. On the 16th, it's synchronous for assessment and diagnosis. It's asynchronous for integrated and interprofessional care. And it just goes on that way. So this is the first 8 weeks, okay? Then we go into the second 8 weeks. So we have no classes, we have fall break, and then you'll see they just alternate. It's pretty easy, you know? Just get into the schedule, talk to your peers. If you get confused, like, should I be online for this class or that class? Just reach out to the instructor. Look at the syllabus. Reach out to your peers. They'll get you straight. Now, where things get, well, not as much. So here is like for field seminar classes. Remember, this is the 16-week class. So these don't change. This is just one class. It starts from the beginning to the end. We typically have 3 sections of this class. Remember, classes start on Wednesday. So that first week, that Monday, Tuesday, you're off, which we show here, and then you just start. You just synchronous, then asynchronous, then synchronous, asynchronous, and it just goes this way through the whole semester. If you have any questions about field-related stuff, reach out to Professor Malloy. She's the Director of Field Education. She's the best one to answer those. If you have questions about other things about the program, reach out to me. And if I'm not the best person to ask, I'll point you in the direction. But this is a semester overview document, so you'll be getting this pretty soon. I'm going to start working on these pretty quickly. One thing we want to be sensitive to is yeah, we should be okay. So I'll be working on those and hopefully get those out to you maybe by the end of not this week, but next week. Okay. So towards the beginning of July. And I know people have lives, plans. Again, like we talked about with intensives, if you're not able to make a synchronous class, reach out to the faculty member and let them know. If it's an emergency, of course, do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If you're sick, please take care of yourself. If you're taking care of someone else who's sick, please take care of them. Synchronous classes, there's only a few in each class. I mean, look, for clinical assessment and diagnosis, there's 1, 2, 3 synchronous classes. Now, yes, you have an intensive here, and you have an intensive here, but otherwise, it's only 3 synchronous classes. So you want to take advantage of those. You want to show up. But I understand emergencies don't work around our schedule, so do what you need to do. Faculty are trying to be really good at recording classes. And so, but definitely giving them a heads up, letting them know you're not going to be there helps them, that way they can be extra sure to record for you. So, so anyway, so the first video was all about Okta, Moodle, self-service, all this stuff. This video, we've gotten a little more into the weeds about scheduling, course calendar, what an intensive schedule looks like, how we do synchronous and asynchronous classes. I hope all this stuff is helpful for you. You're more than welcome to reach out to me with questions if you have them. But in the meantime, just kind of soak this in, watch this video a couple times. You should have access to Okta at this point. If you're a deposited student, you should have hopefully made your account and done all that stuff. If you haven't, or if you're having issues there, reach out to myself or Lindsay, and we'll make sure you get the help you need. But again, we want you to come into the semester in the right way. We want you to feel confident and comfortable. So please do a little bit of this work on the front end and it will pay off for you in the long run. Okay? All right. Catch you later.